All right, guys, here we go.
Ah,
Ethereum.
Ethereum. Yes, it
Ding,
is.
ding, 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 ding. Yep.
Okay, sub-Qs. This is the remote viewers to observe and record Ethereum's performance for all 4 quarters of 2024, and the remote viewers to observe Ethereum's trends in 2024 and data relating to the growth and decline and record it thoroughly. So, top left, do you want to go first, Dick?
Sure. Okay. This has a white paper that is well planned, a lot of thought and design, very technical. Coders worked very hard. There's a lot of design and effort. This has functions, interlocking things, linking, joining, creating new systems that have functions. The function is complex and has competitors. That's correct. Duplication of efforts, ecosystems, which will prevail? It has some loyal hodlers, but it is in competition. So that's correct. I felt that there are other tokens trying to do what it does. Rocket up, ads, promotional push. You're going to see the logo at sports events. It's going to do well. So I overall positive.
For the time being, let's maybe look at Nyiam's work.
For people, I saw a woman as well involved. I'm not too familiar with the other devs there, but cyberpunk tech nerd appeal here. An older male, glasses, hacker type background, well versed in tech, corporate appeal, like a main hub that my sense here was almost like an octopus branching out, like security, encryption, finance, media, gaming, far-reaching, multi-use. A focus on hypersecurity and like an adult flavor. Like it didn't feel very like playful or anything like that. Like identification security services, multimedia, using pseudonyms, kind of appealing to the off-grid type minded people. Looking at the holders here, January felt like, a pretty significant rise here. It's buckle up. Wow. Kind of like going up pretty intensely. June 2024 felt like a rise and a fall, like maybe it bottoms out by then, more of a downer. And September 2024 feels more like messy, some regret there, like people will be saying a should have, would have, could have type of thing. We all know what that feels like. So that's what I get there for Ethereum.
Very good. All right, Derek, what you got, buddy?
Now for us three, so again, here's another person, the brains. And this is people at an actual boardroom. And there were many people, but I drew the people down at the end. Genius advisors, directors, officers in the boardroom. So this is a team of crypto wizards. They're cryptographers, coders, engineers, businessmen, and legal experts. They're young, dynamic, growing, and expanding. They have good, solid financial backing. Doesn't seem nefarious. It doesn't seem like the rug pull type of a crypto case. In terms of use case or business idea, bridge-like union of concepts, which I think supports what Nyiam was saying. It's like it doesn't have like a kid feel to it, like a game feel. It's like this is a backbone. Allowing exchange from one chain to another. And I think we know that to be true with Ethereum, is that it is used as a bridge. It's not unique, but the market segment isn't saturated either. It is feasible. Probability for success is good. No significant legal or regulatory issues or roadblocks, like no showstoppers, like we have seen with some of the other cryptos. And this was why I thought Ethereum.
Hey.
Very good. Excellent. Good stuff. Mr. Daz.
Initial ideogram here was bouncy and fresh, and has a color green with this, which is always a go color for me. Felt very vibrant, energetic, with a kinetic feel. And the word ready to bounce. So I felt like it probably done well at one point, then dropped, and then we're ready for it to go again. Again, more dynamic kind of energy here, packed with energy and enthusiasm. And this kind of bomb here, kind of with the words ready to explode. The team itself were all about multiplying, and they had lots of expansion plans for 2024, as this diagram tries to show here, with a farther reach, maybe even regional offices, and they're going to have explosive growth. I had a feel that they have an aggressive expansion plans and goals for the future, and they're very confident in this. The collective hodlers group sentiments in May of next year, they felt very happy, very up. In November of next year, it felt like they were going slightly sideways at that point, but they still felt good. Then I looked at May 2025, and it was down some, but they still felt okay about that. And November 2025, it felt down again. But I think that's down on something that had been high before that. So they actually felt all right about it.
Very good, Mr. Riordan.
Okay, let's take a look here. The mechanical aspect of this project is important. There is an emphasis on this and what is required for operations. Showcase of what it takes to make it work. Very user-based, and the construction of it, a rig. But what else is important, though? I wonder. What else was important was the concept or the idea of it. A proposal has been handed over, but I didn't know what. The moving and installation of this hardware into new areas and locations like Dubai and Africa. The installation into these areas for these zones. Installations into these areas, new plants and manufacturing alliances involved, like the movement into the BRICS network. I didn't even know what that meant. The notion of leasing out the hardware to these areas, and that would be interesting to find out if they're actually doing that. Is this a leasing campaign, though, I wondered? Part of a business model to promote and display and expand into new areas. And I had this individual presenting technical data to politicians, use cases including tracking migrants and fingerprints. The notion of tokenizing people is here. Token ID instead of a social security number run through these mainframes. A potential here is vast and needed if the requirements are met. But I wanted to know what those requirements could be. Credit standings for the company, score requirements for the company, and standards for trading, governing standards, and it felt very promising.
Excellent. Very good.
Did you know we have a private site called futureforecastinggroup.com that is chock full of esoteric, life-changing, mind-blowing information? You can check it out at futureforecastinggroup.com.
The remote viewers to observe Solana, SOL, in the time period of March 24. So it's a 2-year period we're looking at here, guys. So for those of you that don't like it, because I still got a couple of years to make some money before it goes in the toilet, okay? And record all perceptible data about its performance. So they're basically looking at anything with graphs and charts for the next 2 years.
My initial impression is this is fast. It does transactions, lots of them very quickly. That's a selling point. Speed of transactions, the complexity of the transactions, and cross-chain digital ID, tracking, records, social credit, banking, new form of banking, contract staking, liquidity pool contracts, APR, build a profile. I said, if this AI related, look for a series of pumps and dumps, like pumps and then down, pumps down, then has a little bit of a crypto winter and then way up. So that's my story.
Edward, you're up.
I don't know what this was hard. Moving back and forth, this and overseas and all. This really was kind of like a peer-to-peer thing here. Coast to coast, yeah, peer-to-peer, node to node, server to server. These were the ideas coming through. An idea here that seems important is this kind of back and forth signal, or this kind of node server thing was pretty cool. The connectivity is a base foundational element. Like an element of this is incorporated into a blockchain internet service, like it into a web type of Web3. or a service in general, partnered with internet and data providers, a solution-based project for providers. I was seeing a couple of Asian males here, this guy with the spiky slicked hair and this guy with a more conventional hairstyle. Strong partnerships with the project, utilization with these partners. There's a push with this, felt like a pretty big push with it. To integrate it into a system here. What does that mean now? Like a Walmart, something along the lines of a Walmart partnership, like a big conglomerate like that. You know, a big clients coming in. Does this larger system go online, though? I wonder in this year that we're in. Growth into the system through 2024 felt very good. This and other projects are lining up to be part of a larger network. That was the thing with this kind of combining in, expanding larger, like a new blockchain world, quote unquote, with an AI governance element in there as well, running and authorizing it at high speeds. Like this will be running this authorization element here. There is a lot of momentum. This project is part of it. The charts for this do feel a bit choppy, a little volatile at times. Lots of movement, but it seems to be for the best, I proclaim.
Excellent.
That's it. It felt good. Yeah, felt positive on it.
Okay, Daz, let's see what you got.
The very first word I had was scalar. Something to do with scale, I guess what that means, I don't know. But then I had this ideogram that kind of very choppy, but with some upwards movement, but it felt slightly down as well. But overall, it felt very bouncy and buoyant. It had a very energetic feel. So it started off feeling really positive. And, I knew it had a serious side to it. And then this other radiogram with just felt like spiraling downwards, like a spiral out of control due to some issues. And I had an AOL here, a guess of something like delivery. And I just had this big caution kind of pop into my head here. So I wrote a note to myself, which was, a feeling of a soon-to-be issue. Again, another AOL or guest here or governance, but something started to not feel quite right at this point. So it started off positive, then it went downhill fast. Then I tried another radiogram, and again, it's got lots of choppiness, and I felt like it had lots of bouncy up and downs, and it was almost like it was fighting in its market position. And then I felt like it would have a drop, which I felt would be a surrender of some kind. And I felt like this was, note-wise, this had something to do with some kind of hack or takeover, something that had a negative vibe feel, which made me say the WTF there. Describing the primary, an ambitious person, felt devious, sharp, fast, dark-tanned person, youngish, a manipulator, something about switching. But I was getting negative vibes, didn't feel too honorable. Hoping feels like a front for something.
Check this out. So I got that same overall impression that everybody else did. It's like there's a central hub with nodes going out in all directions. And then I see this character, and this guy has like eyes sunken in his head, very like who's that old guy from The Simpsons, Mr. Burns? Mr. Burns look to him like unhealthy, unhappy, just everything negative, very stern. And somebody working, and they were like frustrated but panicked at the same time. They're working. My overarching sense was they're trying to make it go faster, but they can't. It won't work. The coders, programmers are nervous. Another person who is unhappy, dismal, and then this was, again, it definitely doesn't appear to be a logo, but I saw what appeared to be like a butterfly. Transactions should be faster. And it definitely had like a meme coin feel to it. I see a tech team of coders, engineers, programmers struggling. They're already resource constrained and not a well-backed team making a mess of it. I see a middle-of-the-road coin token at best, and I see investors watching with pale, fearful, upset looks, watching it plummet. I was actually, when I went into S5, I saw somebody like ready to bust out into tears, just watching it plummet. And something about they may shut off the coin token or just end it. Early adopters, hodlers might consider sell out cash and move on. .com like crash feeling here, and there's like the downward flow there. Yeah.
Nyiam, what do you got for us?
First thing I saw was an up arrow. I saw like a server farm with some people there. Felt like data collection, high level calculations. There's a use of AI, profiling, integers, market sets. It's setting the example for future projects. Tokenization. It collates information security, futuristic. Felt like it's ahead of its time and a trailblazer. For my near-term movements, it felt like pretty strong across and up movement, and then kind of flattens out near the top. And then for my 3-month, it felt like a down movement and a quick move back up. And these felt like pretty strong to me. The holder sentiment felt like watching, waiting right now. June felt like a rise, panic, people placing orders. September felt more steady, maybe some flattening out and more selling, felt like more of the sentiment around there.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
We asked the viewers to observe Binance's performance for the next 2 years, record their findings, and even more so important, to kind of look at those overall market trends, market movements, and to graph those. So let's start with Sean.
Third visit, I got this guy I just had a quick flash of a guy he had his hands up over his chin and he just looked really serious. So site sketch, I just kind of got this impression of a guy presenting data with this he was optimistic, but then this guy sitting back watching him feeling like, I'm not convinced, but show me the data type of a thing. And he felt like a boss. The energy, I felt like it was hard to describe, but this is what I saw is like I saw a spark. It was like steadily growing, but in fits and starts. It was like it would grow, it would stop, it would grow, it would stop. It wasn't linear, but it was definitely getting bigger as it progressed. And I'd never really had this come up in a session before, so I don't know what to make of it. But that's what I saw when I went to Blackboard for about 30 seconds. Headed for a good run, but it's in fits and starts, not smooth and linear. There were some interesting dynamics with a people person presenting to a highly critical and analytical boss, but his scowling wasn't a reflection of performance. It was just that he doesn't show excitement or emotion. He's just always in his head analyzing things. And that's what I had for this one. So I'm not sure. We'll see what happens here.
How about we go along with Derek?
So what I got here is this is an evolutionary step for a crypto. My impression is that this will yield success. I was seeing a block of data wrapped in extra layers of secure encryption and watching it move securely, safely across the medium of transmission. It seems like a very speedy protocol, reliable, dependable, and maybe considered a crypto staple. More imagery. So I started probing for energy, and I see like a rocket breaking through the clouds. And together with this imagery of actual block and chain, solid, dependable architecture. I figured this is a metaphor and well positioned, and that's my target.
All right, Mr. Edward, you're next.
Started here. I saw these two guys here, and I had these word that kept coming in here was insider, and it was like these guys were insiders or inside players, or even insider trading was even coming in. Like these two guys here were important. Two people are significant with the project, and they have a sense of being powerful in their roles inside and ins and outs. All these kind of in, out, insider, inside trading, all that kind of stuff kept coming through. What does that all even mean, though? They were powerful industry people deep in the tech and finance industry, or one could say Binance industry. Crypto humor. But what about them, I wondered? They are working together on making inroads into industrial platforms. They are industry players, tycoons, if you will, finance influencers. I can see these two guys like on a stage, got a big thing, they're talking about it, but it was really about these two people working together here like a major conference and, big deal stuff and that kind of stuff. Is it advantageous to invest in their project, though, I wonder? With a company who has an insider pass on the movement and shape of the industry, they have connection within the chain ecosystem. There is a positive, strong sense to this project. Though there's a form of abrupt changes seems to be taking place early 2026. A transformation of the project may be rebranded or absorbed into a bigger project, or even possibly renamed.
All right, Nyiam, it is your turn.
All right. Finance. So I see this guy, and just for a moment, kind of the thing that stood out most was he had a widow's peak. That was kind of like the thing I noticed the most when I saw him for that second. But it's like a contest or a competition to him. So very competitive, well-dressed, business-minded, pushes hard. He's tech-savvy, digital revolution type of person, has some cyberpunk influence, and may have some libertarian views. And that's the I forget his name. Shen Jingpeng, I think is his name. Looking at the short-term performance, 3 months out, it looks like it goes sideways and then up. And the up movement feels kind of like sudden or unexpected. And I even get the word like fabricated, like the way it happens maybe. 6 months feels like it peaks, reaches a high point and then trails back down. And that has like a back where we started feel to it. That's what I got for that one.
All right, Dick, you're next up on the block.
Okay, here we go. I saw and drew the logo exactly right in the first 2 seconds. Thank you. It gives me a good feel. It's a medium to very big market cap, and its function is as money. I saw, I'm trying to get on target here, bridge, movement in a channel, people lined up at kiosks, maybe vendors. Something is pulled up by hard work, diligence, marketing, research, tough launch, slowly pulled up, then it flies on its own and takes off. That would be the history. Shoestring early development, money, other functions added, patchwork additions to the chain, trying to add functionality. Developer sells off part of his original stake, gets help, investors come in. Boring times lately. And there's friction. The new team management wants a different style. I see people lined up. They're made to stand there. They're shocked, and they'd be made to do this. Several quit or are fired and move on. There's upheaval, bad attitude, a lot of Gen Z entitlement, but this is to improve things.
All right. Last but certainly not least, Daz.
Okie dokie. Okay, so straight off the bat, a really energetic ideogram here showing some positive actions coming soon. Lots of ups and downs, then a boom kind of signal. Very frantic here, very positive feel. Again, on this ideogram here, lots of intense activity soon this year with a big jump upwards, October or November. Another ideogram here looking at it. So this is it now with ups and downs, but very soon there's going to be a huge amount of very intense activity. So they're going to have a wild ride, somewhat unexpected with a lot of drama. Feels here of an all-round market activity here, which is upwards. So yeah, that's why. And the market's going to have a frantic compressed feeling to it, which is this area here. So this is just them responding to the market really. And I looked at the compressed thing, and this is how the action is going to go when it goes. So it's going to go up and down, but generally very upwards. I got row here, words like lots of frantic ups and downs in clusters of at least two events in the near future. To try to describe the product itself, I just kept seeing these coins going through layers, and I felt like it was just like a piggy bank. Very complexity to this, like it has multiple uses, options, and scenarios. So which makes sense with now I know that it's actually not crypto but a business. The hodlers group sentiment, it feels like it was down slightly now, but it feels like this year it's going up massively or up big time.
Our intrepid remote viewers to view Polkadot over the next 2 years and record any data and then get, those key performance and market trends that everybody loves so well. And if they can, report on their findings and make us some graphs and charts. All right. Since Edward, is our king of the night here. So why don't we have you get started and kick things off?
And then I had, it's like it takes care of itself. Like a machine level governance, like a Web3 Internet of Things type project, very robotic feel. At this point, I'm still not picking up on any humans, only machine intelligence here. And it was like this big mainframe. This is a representation of the machine intelligence of this project, possible EVM or Ethereum virtual machine, or they used to say they're doing something with Ethereum. Assigning out messages. And it was his messages and signatures and being sent out and assigned to specific accounts. It's very strange to me, this whole assigning of messages thing was really unusual. I don't really understand it still. But then I had this graphic here of this was that thing, and this is everybody else kind of being connected to it. And again, it was something being assigned here in code or message. Is this a valuable feature, I wonder? It is the value and a cost positive feature, meaning this element makes the project a net positive as it is working for quote unquote you. But how do investors feel about it on winter solstice 2024? There's a positive sentiment here, very uplifting, the end of this year. So I went to summer solstice 2025, and there was a bit of a sideways feel. Like the price was flat. It wasn't like, everything was tanked. It was just kind of a sideways market. Summer solstice 2026, going another year, and it was a positive, very green, positive feel to the project there.
Nicely done. All right, Nyiam, why don't we take a look at your data?
3 month, it feels like it's flat or sideways for a while and then jumps to a new level. The 6 month felt more like a stair stepping, a few levels up. So maybe like two levels up there over the 6 months. And then just looking for any other data related, it felt like there may be a person associated with this project that's replaced or substituted or changed. Maybe they step down, give up or retire, but has a moves on feel. That's my data on that one.
All right. How about Sean?
So my very first visual ideogram, I saw sort of that's not a good rendering, but it was kind of a sporty car. Just real quick, I see a guy up on the stand. I see the judge and jury, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Got some low-level data here. For the energy, I got a really strong visual of this kind of like a spark climbing and arcing up, but I got like a crash kind of sense. So it was kind of, contradictory. When I see things going up and expanding, normally it's like building or positive, but the crash and the feeling I got was very negative. So I'm not sure if it was like intense energy building up into something destructive. Overall, I felt like I got sucked into witnessing a dramatic court battle. The defense felt like things were not going well for them, but I couldn't tell if they were really guilty, but it certainly felt like this person felt trapped, scared, and overwhelmed. And the offensive or the prosecutor felt righteous, like he's fighting for others that can't, and he's not letting up despite feeling like he's doing well, like he's not taking it for granted, like he feels like anything could happen. And the energy felt powerful but negative and destructive. So,
all right. How about Derek up next?
See a lot of elements of people doing different things, technical, mechanical work, somebody reading a newspaper, another person is like working at a workstation. Seeing a lot of technicians, programmers, planners working together in development of something that feels AI or virtual reality based. Lots of nano cellular particle size elements involved. getting a sense this could be AI tech that's implanted in people to facilitate direct access to virtual platform, something I'd expect to see from Neuralink, like a Web 4.0 leap into the mind. Amazing project, impressive. It is interesting that Polkadot is part of the Web 3.0 foundation, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if this one isn't something that they'd be working on. Into the cloud, voice synthesis and modulation, AI recording and processing, literally everything. Strong sense of augmented reality overlay with virtual reality. Power consumption is massive, requires enormous amount of electricity based on sheer number of processors and calculations 24 hours a day. Projects like this are going to strain the power grid. Rise in use of nuclear reactors in USA near or by these companies.
All right, who's next on my list? Daz.
Okay, so on this one, my ideograms straight off were not great, actually. It had some fits and starts to it, but everything had a horizontal feel to it. So everything's going straight across, and here on this one as well. So some ups and downs in a saw motion, but generally linear across and horizontal. It had a jumpy feel to it, but yeah, horizontal. Again with these ones here, so it feels like it has some periodic kind of ups and downs where it does have the sawtooth motion to it, but generally I felt like now in the future it's only going to go one way, and that's horizontal. It's fluid in its motion with ups and downs, but it's not eventful, and I wrote here is not exciting either. Hodler's group sentiment in December 2024, just the word oh shit. June 2025, down in damn, and December 2025, even worse, down, and the expletive word there as well.
Now it is time for Dick to show your work, please.
Pretty big market cap, established, good, positive. It links and exchanges. So it links things. It turns something into something else. Web 3 imagery, serves, expands, functions, block rewards. That's kind of sort of the logo there, I think. Connected spheres, interoperability, cross-chain functions. That's what Polkadot does. An issue is how it runs itself, the energy and environmental cost of maintaining the chain and running the cryptologic algos. They want to switch something to do it with less friction. This pairs with something else to function. It exchanges things.
We had the viewers to look and observe and record XRP's performance for the next 2 years, and then observe any kind of market trends over the next 2 years, and hopefully give us some charts, which they did. Lots of data. Who wants to go first? Don't all jump at once.
I will, because I drew that X first thing. Roadway, metrics of proof, shareholders, investment, hodlers, finance, DeFi, Feels Financial, FinTech, Justin, people having an immersive experience. This brings things to you. East meets West, Asia meets Silicon Valley. This feels tightly packed, like it takes a lot of them to amount to much money. Big supply, a lot are burned. Airdrops, buybacks. Imaginative ideas about self-custody, digital ID verification, new ecosystem, financial, pay for music, pay for entertainment, social media, ratings give a user experience. Young people have been waiting for this. Will cash out when it runs. This will have a spectacular run in the next year, then a drop.
All right, Edward, why don't you go next, and let's see what you got.
I went, there were a couple of main people, some guy with some spiky hair. Crew of about 7 people. I was AOLing out in Stellar. A crew of about 7. What do they do? They're asset driven. I believe they are getting into real world assets, security protocols, big on security, media assets, intellectual properties. I think they're doing all these things now. Secured, signed for, even words like social media accounts. Okay, so I had some technical things here. The idea of like node hopping. like it's jumping from node to node, or how the network operates, like it's hopping from one to the next, sharing or sharding, or something with an SH word. How do investors feel about it, though, on New Year's Day of 2025? Positive sentiment around it. There is or are some level of regulatory actions that this product is dealing with at this time, though it seems more like business as usual.
All right, Mr. Daz, you're up.
Okay. When I wrote on my admin at the top, I was feeling really positive. And then when the pen hit the paper for the real work, it went downhill fast, as this ideogram shows. So it went down here with and I had words like down and bounce, and then image of a rubber ball kind of bouncing around. Again, a really strange ideogram here, but it does have a peak, and it has peaks on the way down as well. But it feels very downwards in motion, very bumpy with an uncertain feel. Lots of incidents which are newsworthy. And it feels like there's some mishaps that are going to happen there. And this feels like it's something to do with software. Again, another ideogram with lots of downward seesaw kind of motion there. So generally down but energetic feel to this. And it feels like there's going to be problems. And I had a feeling, almost like they're sticking their finger in the dam to try to stop the problems over time. But, it's going to be leaking out. So I was sensing an overall not quite right feeling from the target. It didn't feel real or serious. There felt like a serious issue with this. It feels structural or within its architecture. And I felt like maybe this is hidden or being secretly plugged, like a hole being plugged, like the finger in the dam kind of thing. Hodlers, later this year in August, I felt that it was down and very expletive. In December, I felt like it was down more. August of next year, I felt like it was then flattening out and maybe rising. And December of next year, it felt like they were going to have some peaks and rises as well.
All right. Well, it is time for Mr. Nyiam to go through his data.
Okay. For people, I saw a bald guy too. I think Brad Garlinghouse is their CEO. I've seen him in a few sessions in the past, but here I see a bald guy involved. Very business-oriented, pay-to-play, thinking about the shareholders. This guy feels more like an investor than maybe like someone who's about coding or about the currency itself. More of like an opportunist, sees it as a business endeavor, as like a business startup feel. It feels like there's a beehive of activity surrounding this. It's a tight-knit team. They have some outsourcing. Maybe that's the Ripple XRP kind of division there. The near-term 3-month felt like a slow stair-stepping rise with plateaus in between, but then it hits a ceiling or an upper limit. So I'd say a rise in the near future, but peaking at a certain point and coming down from there. And 6 months, it felt like, further out in the 6-month period, there would be more of a positive rise within that time limit. That's what I got for the XRP army.
Jumping right into this, I see a highly professional individual with where they're all wearing press suits, marching with authority. Very astute, sharp characters. This is another review. Approaching to go talk to somebody. I see this wave-like swirl. No idea what that means. In my S3 data, again, there's this rocket imagery, potential blue chip crypto. I see 3 high-powered leaders involved in every aspect of ensuring success. Extremely professional, uncommon level of technical proficiency and know-how. Success announced, unfolding in the Wall Street Journal. Lots of attention on its evolution. Team comprised of the very best in their fields of expertise. And then moving on, crypto absolutely explodes in a good way. And I see this mushroom cloud of an explosion, and it's showering and raining, but what it's raining is gold on its investors.
Sean here, I'm going to be walking through my crypto session, and I saw 2 men sitting at a table. One had his arms crossed in kind of an obstinate sort of stance, and the other person was leaning forward, like trying to engage them or intimidate them in some way. Yeah, anger and frustration seemed directed at primarily at one individual. Belief that this person is standing in their way. They need them, but cannot come to a resolution that is amicable. And they're losing sleep over the inability to find a way around this. For the first human, I got a male, Caucasian, middle-aged, likes to get his way, brown hair, very intelligent, meticulous, a deal maker. He has big plans, but he's too fixated on his way to really see other avenues. Doesn't like to compromise, and he can't let go of the vision, even though of how things should be in their mind. The second male I saw, a younger male. He was younger than Life One, slightly darker complected, but with dark hair. He has something that Life One needs, but doesn't agree on the vision, and he's turned off by Life One's persistence. He's defiant, and at this point, he stopped caring about the deal. He sees his own way, and he's ready to move in another direction. Again, I don't really know what any of this is about, but that's just what I got. So in summary, for this target, it seemed to focus on two males in some sort of a deadlock. And it was apparent that they were not finding a way of working things out amicably. Life 2 was feeling like they were going to walk away, and Life 1 was needing something critical from Life 1. Overall, it just didn't feel good. It just felt like there was this blockage that was like the main focus of my session. So hopefully this is helpful, but that's what I got for this one.